People, don't you know what this is? This is Training Camp with Kolby Van Camp on Wildcat 91.9.
That is terrifying.
Good evening, Manhattan, Wamego, Junction City, and anywhere the internet has enveloped you in its cold embrace. Welcome to Training Camp with Kolby Van Camp, yours truly behind the gray microphone, high atop the music department at McCain Auditorium, located on McCain Drive in the heart of the campus of Kansas State University, in the core of the Little Apple, Manhattan, Kansas. Welcome to the final Tuesday night of Training Camp. It's been a sweet gig to have this summer. All good things must come to a partial end, but I will be back on the air on Thursdays, so that's going to be fun. Thursdays from 6 to 7 p.m. You're going to want to tune in and listen to Training Camp. We got all sorts of fun stuff lined up for you, and I'm just really excited. It's been an awesome opportunity to just kind of develop some radio skills, and I hope that you guys have enjoyed my show over the duration of this summer. I'm also, it's Tuesday, so I've got Mr. K-State Game Day himself, John Grove, and then of course I have Jazsmin in the studio as well. So thank you both for being here today. So first, I'm so dead inside right now. I had my GTA training all this morning, and it's all this week. So it's like today was 8:30 to 5. So that was tomorrow it's 9:30, so that's not bad. And then Thursday I think it's like 8 o'clock, and then Friday I can kind of do whatever I want, and then there's like this little party thing in the middle of the day, which is kind of fun.
Sweet.
Nice. Yeah, it's weird to have like academic perks now, like I do as a graduate student. So that's kind of strange, but it's also really fun. And then I just it's a lot of work, but the show today, I'm very excited because we've got some really interesting storylines to talk about. Mike Gundy was causing a firestorm on ESPN earlier today because he essentially came out and said, Texas and Oklahoma, you guys suck. You're destroying the tradition of the Big 12, and you're doing it all because you don't care about anything except money. And there is nothing incorrect about that statement.
Not at all.
Nothing incorrect at all.
He just had the gall to actually say it.
No. He just had the personal effects to get up and say it.
The chutzpah.
Yeah, there you go.
he is definitely the type of guy that you don't want to mess around when he's mad.
No, and that's I love it.
It's something in the mullet.
It's so great.
Especially when you're trying to ask him a question during his press conference. I mean he's gonna light you up if something goes wrong.
Yeah, and well, so in what are you referencing there, John?
I'm a man. I'm 40. That speech right there.
Yeah.
I mean, he's kind of gone off on a few other speeches, but I know compared to the rest of the coaches, he took the realignment news a little more personally with Oklahoma and Texas, and I'm sure a lot of people in Stillwater did with Oklahoma, especially leaving for the SEC.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, I think they should.
Yeah.
I think it is a personal thing. And it's definitely, I don't know, it just, again, like all things, it's just hilarious to me when these guys at football programs, Mike Gundy has not done this, but these guys at football programs, like Texas and Oklahoma, get up and say, us moving from the Big 12 has nothing to do with money. And I'm like, but it has everything to do with money. So don't patronize us like that. But so we're gonna start off with K-State because, oh my gosh, it's a great day to be a Wildcat. So Cooper Beebe, Phillip Brooks, Adrian Martinez. This is a piece by Zach Carlson over at GoPowerCat.com. Give progress updates on Kansas State. Cooper Beebe says that he actually prefers guard over tackle. He said, I think I'm just more built for it. I enjoy being inside. I enjoy manhandling dudes. It's easier than going up against quick guys on the outside, so I would say guard. Then just taking a bebop over to Phillip Brooks. He had some really nice things to say about Colin Klein, and I really loved that. And now I can't find that part of the article. That's crazy. So I apologize. It's actually Adrian Martinez who had this to say about Colin Klein. I have so much respect for Coach, not only as a coach, but as a person. I've said this before, but each meeting he still wants to make us better people. So we focus on that. And then obviously the X's and O's. I'm really excited about some of the stuff we're cooking for this season. He's really creative, and he's making sure that we all utilize our weapons. So that's pretty cool. Good stuff for Colin Klein. And then Adrian Martinez, Phillip Brooks had to say about Adrian Martinez. He said, "Oh, it's going good. He's a real relaxed guy, easy, down to earth. He lives down the street from me, so we always get home at the same time, get there at the same time. He hits me up when we're wanting to watch film. We'll go over there to watch film or something like that. We're just building chemistry on the field. We're going to continue with that when we get to the season, but it's progressing really well." So that's, I don't know. There's not much more that I think you could potentially want out of that, with the college football season just being like 2.5 weeks away now.
Oh my goodness.
We're so close. We're so close. I'm literally losing my mind.
I think, yeah, you're right. 2 weeks. I think the first game is next Friday night, Nevada, New Mexico State, but who cares?
What's your prediction, John? Nevada gonna blow them out?
Yeah, New Mexico State should be FCS at this point. I don't necessarily know why. I just want to watch football at this point. I want to watch football, more specifically K-State football, but I'll be treated to other football as well. Yeah.
So Cole Carmody, also a friend to the station, former station guy, put out a piece for GoPowerCat.com. I think it was today, if I was looking at it. No, it was yesterday, August 15th. And so he was able to attend an open media practice on Monday. I wish I'd known that was a thing. Totally would have gone. It says Xavier Lloyd is going to play in some capacity. It says Xavier Lloyd is a big man. Without Malik Knowles in attendance for practice, Lloyd was by far and away the biggest looking receiver participating. While he may not be listed as the tallest, the changes Lloyd has made to his body are extremely apparent. And hearing Thad Ward's praise multiple times, it is clear that the staff thinks really highly of this former walk-on. Do not be surprised to see Lloyd get some time this season. A career path like fellow wideout Phillip Brooks could very well be ahead of Lloyd. Even if he does not make a ton of catches this season, Lloyd will see the field and help K-State at some point during the fall. He has loads of potential. Julius Brents is poised for a massive year. And it says that apparently the issues that he had last year as a defensive back, it says those issues appear to be fixed, as not only does Brents look stronger and faster, but better as well. Wearing snow gloves to help with the penalty issues, Brents has turned into a leader in Van Malone's secondary and should be a force to be reckoned with. And then if this doesn't just get you freaking hyped up, I don't know what does. It says, number 3, the ball looks different out of Martinez's hands. Adrian Martinez is going to be a good quarterback for Kansas State. Yes, he is still learning the offense, but his raw abilities are unmatched by any quarterback currently on the roster. The way that Martinez threw passes to his receiver during the routes on air was impressive, and there was some serious velocity behind his ball. The arm talent is there for Martinez, and if there are any questions about lingering injuries, there shouldn't be, as he looks talented as ever during every period that was open to the media on Monday. And then the running back room is wide open. And then this also gets me super hyped, because I mean, the time that I grew up was Colin Klein football. Okay, like 2012, I was 13. All right, I like loved Kansas State. I've always loved Kansas State. I didn't really care about K-State football until I was probably about 10, 12, 13. I would go to the games because I was like, this is fun. But then I didn't know what was happening. I didn't really pay attention. I just liked to see the band, watch the cheerleaders. I don't know. But I was like 10. So now I'm an adult. I really love the game of football. I think it's a great game. It's a really awesome game. And I love Kansas State, and Colin Klein is kind of what sparked that love for me. So anytime that I get to show love back to Colin Klein is a great day for me. But this is according to the media. And it says, when asked if there was going to be a learning curve for the offense, Klein did not shy away from the fact that there 100% will be one, with the defense switching schemes before last season, according to the staff. Only now are they fully immersed in the new defense and feeling comfortable. So they're feeling comfortable in a 3-3-5 now. That's good. Comfortable 3-3-5. That's a hard defense to put together with only 1 year of preparation. So shout out to Joe Klanderman and all the defensive coaches who are making that happen. But with the offense, fans should expect the same kind of transition, and even Klein admits they're still trying to figure out their niche. Quote, we're working together, and I think we'll, as some of those situations take a little bit better shape and us becoming a little bit more of who we are, I'm sure we'll kind of find a vein, a section of who we're going to be, and help find that identity, he said on Monday. While that identity will likely be rooted on the ground through Deuce Vaughn, there is no doubt that it will at least be a little different. If it's not a little different, I'm going to be blown away, because
the fact that know it's going to be at least a little bit different. That bowl game proved it.
The bowl game proved it, but the fact that people are talking about hurry up offense. They're talking about no huddle, talking about multiple offense. The sky's the limit for Kansas State football. And I don't know if I can reiterate this enough. I think Kansas State, so Big Game Boomer, and one of their only good takes of the last 10 days, said that the ceiling and the floor for Kansas State, we talked about this, I think, on last Thursday. Ceiling is 11-1, and the floor is 8-4. I think the floor is 7-5. I think a realistic ceiling is 10-2. 11-1, love it, totally here for it. Don't know if I can get behind 10-2. Or get behind 11-1 just yet. I need to see the actual gameplay going on since I don't attend the practices. But it's just, I think Kansas State has the potential to be really special. I think they only go 7-5 if Adrian Martinez gets hurt. I think it's hard to replace a guy like Deuce Vaughn. I think we have some of the depth to make that happen. I think we have some real diamond in the rough kind of guys in the running back room. And I think if Deuce went down, we would be able to manage. If the quarterback goes down, we're in a world of hurt. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And I very vocally said this on one of my last shows last week. I believe in Iron Will. Will Howard is a great guy. I think he's going to be one heck of a football player. Everybody that I talked to in the K-State football program, players, coaches, freaking Wyatt Thompson was like, Iron Will is the dude that is going to be taking over K-State football. We just need to be prepared for that. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Okay, cool. I don't necessarily want to see him on the field this year when we have Adrian Martinez. However, if we see him on the field, I want to see him on the field because we've put up 60 points on a team and it's garbage time and it's time to bring in some of the second and third strings. But I do want to see him on the field to get some experience. I think that he deserves that shot. I think he deserves that opportunity. But the only reason that K-State loses more than between 3 and 5 games, I think, is because Adrian Martinez is injured. And hilariously, we've officially, K-State fans, congratulations, we've officially been put in the, according to Big Game Boomer, our fan base has officially been put in the cocky category. I'm like, no, you're just dumb. Like, I don't know what else to say about that, but I guess we can be put in the cocky category. I think he missed optimistic. There's optimistic and cocky. K-State fans are incredibly optimistic coming into this season. I don't know if we're cocky. Too many K-State people have been burned for too long by being cocky about K-State football, and then our team lays a fat egg. So I think you're either a really special person to be cocky about K-State football, and I immediately recommend that you stop being cocky about K-State football, or it's just misinterpreted and it's Big Game Boomer taking another L take like he does about 4 times a week. So I don't know, John, what are we feeling about this? John and Jazsmin. Jazsmin, I'm not trying to leave you out, but John is actively like engaging with Big Game Boomer all the time. So John, what are we thinking?
I think, well, I'm gonna kind of flash back this a little bit. There is a reason for K-State fans to be a lot more optimistic, but at the same time, you're kind of looking at some of the Twitter arguments K-State fans have been going after the likes of Iowa State, Kansas, and Nebraska fans. We'll fight back, but sometimes we have a few fans that will show kind of their cocky ways as well.
Okay, but what fan base doesn't? So that's kind of where I draw the line. Is every fan base has that. Does Kansas State's vocal fan base outweigh like those guys, or do those guys outweigh us? That's where I'm coming from. Because if it's the overall perception that we're really cocky, that's an L take. I don't think so.
I wouldn't take an overall perception, except for maybe Kansas fans. I wouldn't take a full. I can't take a full opinion based on Big Game Boomer. Typically he's going to come out with the swings and misses, and this is just generally the way he feels. And you got a lot of people that have their own ways, their own opinions about how this fan base acts and how this fan base acts as well. And at the end of the day, you just gotta have to, well, suck it up. You gotta also back up your team at times as well, which there's gonna be a lot of emo Twitter folks backing up K-State here over football season without a doubt.
Oh yeah, I 100% agree. Excuse me, I agree. I agree. Jazsmin, we're going to get to your opinion in a second because I think you have valuable things to say too. But we're up against our break. You've been listening to Training Camp with Kolby Van Camp on Wildcat 91.9. So Jazsmin, your birthday was yesterday, right?
It was yesterday.
Yeah, well, happy birthday.
Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
A solid 21. Is that 21st?
Oh, thank you for thinking that, but I wish.
You're welcome.
No, like 24. Even though, Grant, I still feel like I'm 23, but appreciate it.
Yeah, it's just like
grow up so
it's
fast.
it's another day, right?
It's literally another day.
It's starting to hit that point for me too, where it's like everybody's like, "Happy birthday! What did you do?" And I'm like, "Exactly nothing.
Yeah,
it was another day."
Honestly, it's crazy. This has been like the first, like, of course, last year was the first time, but typically my birthday's during band camp, so I'm like usually like struggling and making sure I don't lock my knees so I don't pass out on my birthday the past few years.
Yeah.
So this was a nice change of pace.
Well, happy birthday, dear Jazsmin. Right. So there you go. There's like my 4 seconds of.
Did y'all hear that vibrato?
That was.
Yeah.
Did y'all hear that vibrato?
Happy birthday. No, I'm not gonna keep it. If you want to hear my opera promos, you can just keep listening to Wildcat 91.9 and it'll pop on one of these times. In fact, I showed one of the music professors that last night because I actually ended up singing the national anthem for this really cool. So like there are a bunch of Indian students and faculty from like the country of India, and they had President Linton show up, and then they did an American flag raising because apparently yesterday was India's Independence Day, and so they did an American flag raising. Myself and 3 of my colleagues, one who's like still a student here, and 2 are professors here at Kansas State. We showed up, sang the national anthem. It was a fire arrangement of the national anthem too. It was really good. And then they did their Indian national anthem. They raised that flag. It's a pretty cool ceremony. I've never done anything like that before. I've sung the national anthem. I've sung the national anthem all over the place, from high school football games to a Chiefs game. I've sung the national anthem. But it was pretty cool. It was one of the more special moments. So I don't know. That's kind of where like I'm at the moment, I guess. But happy birthday to you. So that's
Thanks,
happy birthday,
guys.
Jazsmin.
I appreciate it.
So now, before I jump into more adjacently related K-State media than directly related, talk to me, Jazsmin, about your take on whether K-State fans are cocky or not.
No, as a whole, they're not cocky at all. So I agree with you when you said this, like, as a whole, that's just an L take. But, I mean, with takes with Big Game Boomer, I feel like the majority of the time he kind of just, like, gets all the teams, all the schools in, like, a little mixer and just, like, switches it up in whatever category he wants.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was proven because he came out with something a couple days ago with who had the cleanest bathrums. And I think
So like Texas A&M or something.
Yeah, and they had also KU's like cleanest
KU
bathrooms in the top 20. I was like, don't they have porta potties?
Maybe it's like the cleanest porta potty.
I was gonna say
something tells me no.
That's some Larry the Cable Guy kind of ish that's going on.
Yeah,
there.
so I can't fully trust if he's because there's no way he's been to all of these stadiums and all of these bathrooms for one. So that's why I just think sometimes he might just mix some things in there for a little,
He's like, KU is never in the top 10 for anything during football seasons. So let's give him the cleanest bathrooms.
Even though that's a lie.
I don't know.
Yeah. It's porta potties. I'm never trusting no damn porta potty being the cleanest anything, okay?
Especially one in a ran down football stadium.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I'd get out of there like a bat out of Lawrence. I mean, you know what I'm saying. But I'm right. So anyway, so adjacent to Kansas State, like immediate Kansas State football, Skylar Thompson looks like a tank out in his NFL debut for the Dolphins this weekend. In fact, he got a whole article written for him by Hal Habib for the Palm Beach Post out in Florida. And it says, Skylar Thompson looks good in the Dolphins debut. But does he look too good? I'm like, first of all, that's such a clickbait title because, like, when does a rookie ever look too good? Okay, like what are you insinuating there? But it says, this is on you, Chris Grier. As a general manager of the Dolphins, Grier pulled the trigger with his final pick in this year's draft, picking Kansas State quarterback Skylar Thompson. They didn't need Thompson. They didn't need a quarterback. Also didn't need a problem, which is what Thompson presented to Greer and the Dolphins with his debut performance in Saturday night's 26-24 victory over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. When I first started reading this, I'm like, dude, you're a pinhead. Get out of here. But then he continues to say good things about Skylar. Because I'm like, why would you be upset about that performance? And says Thompson looked good. Too good, perhaps. Which is why each time Thompson waved his arms to direct receivers exactly where he wanted them to line up, each time he dropped back to pass with the grace of a veteran, and each time he delivered the ball where it needed to go, you couldn't help but think Reed Sinnett. Sinnett, you'll recall, is the quarterback who looked good in the Dolphins training camp a year ago, including a 343-yard preseason game. And the Dolphins got a little too cute trying to sneak Sinnett through waivers and onto the practice squad when they felt a need to activate receiver Isaiah Ford and backup center Cameron Tom. That explains why Sinnett is performing well in the Eagles green now. Skylar Thompson throws for 218 yards, going 20 of 28 on the evening with 1 touchdown and a passer rating of 106.0. He's not going to unseat Tua Tagovailoa, nor will he supplant Teddy Bridgewater as the backup, but if he continues along the way he has in training camp and now in the preseason, he could cost Miami a spot on the 53-man roster. Unless the Dolphins want to risk losing a quarterback prospect 2 years in a row, that is. It's an inconvenient truth, but the Dolphins will gladly accept after seeing the performance Thompson put on. This is as good a place as any for a disclaimer. These teams let it be known before kickoff that 50 presumed regulars were unlikely to play. That included 10 of Tampa Bay's expected starters on defense. It also meant Thompson wasn't throwing to guys named Tyreek or Jalen, but rather Trent Sherfield and Lynn Bowden. It's easy to get carried away by these pretend games, in other words, even as your eyes keep telling you this 25-year-old rookie didn't look like a kid wearing an NFL uniform for the first time. If that's how you felt, you weren't alone. You know, it's funny, Coach Mike McDaniel said. I have to check myself when certain things will happen during a game or practice where I'll feel myself getting impatient with him because I've completely forgotten that he's a rookie, but he is a rookie. Maybe there are times McDaniels forgets the fact because there are times Thompson shoves it aside too. He also has no inclination of using the R besides his name as an excuse. As well as Thompson played, he came out of Saturday's game bemoaning that, quote, there's a handful of plays that are on my mind right now. No, they weren't plays he made. They were plays that, quote, got me stumped a little bit. You get the feeling he'll be analyzing them Sunday afternoon on tape, provided, of course, he wasn't doing it on the midnight flight home. There's always room for improvement, Thompson said. There's always room for growth. McDaniel told him amid the first couple of series, he saw Thompson was taking too long in the huddle, told him to get a move on, and the problem no longer was a problem. So, big stuff for Skylar Thompson. Did you guys watch that game? I watched the highlights.
I've watched some of the game on YouTube, but ultimately they kind of blacked out. They kind of blacked out with mainly like the copyright situation and all that. They'll have the preseason games mostly for local stations. So like for the Chiefs, they'll have WIBW broadcasting this game and like all the local channels. But they weren't gonna do anything national unless if it was like the Hall of Fame type of game. But for preseason for the rookies and especially late round rookies, it's about finding those glimmer of potential and expecting to I'm trying to put it in the best of words.
It's okay.
They're expecting to put out a full game performance into a lifetime of expectations.
Yeah.
And there was plenty of moments for Thompson this week, and most importantly, he avoided catastrophic mistakes, which is daunting for any preseason in terms of a quarterback such as Zach Wilson, Trevor Lawrence, take your pick. Those type of QBs are going to deal with a lot of high expectations, and for quarterbacks like Skylar Thompson, who may not even get a starting position to begin off with, there was only one moment in which he looked like a rookie. When he threw underdressed sail to pass into the arms of a diving defensive back, and even then he escaped unscattered when the replay review couldn't conclusively show what's his name, Don Garner of the Bucks got an interception. But nonetheless, it's a big day when you're throwing for 218 yards, 71% of your passes have been completed. It was all around a great performance.
Well, and so something that you said that I just wanted to reiterate is that watching the tape, first of all, K-State fans have been out there saying to Miami Dolphins people, hey, don't sleep on this guy. Like you've
He's-
got a good quarterback in Skylar Thompson, and everybody's like, yeah, well, he's super injury prone. In fact, I even got into it with some dude on YouTube who was like, yeah, well, as long as he toughens up and doesn't get injured. And I said, it's not a question of being tough, my guy. How about I tear your labrum and then tell you to tough it up? And then I got like 20 likes on YouTube for it. I was like, oh, you just got dunked on in the comments of YouTube. It'd be one thing if it was Twitter, but get wrecked on YouTube. Jeez. Yeah, I'm a keyboard warrior. It's fine. Don't. You can come at me. That's fine. I might come at you too, but it's okay. So at any rate, Thompson, I think the key takeaway is that Skylar did not look like a rookie.
Mhm.
And I think that's what probably shocked everybody, especially these pundits, because unless you're some dude who came from, unless you're a Trevor Lawrence and everybody expects you to be QB1 for the franchise that you were drafted for, and there's no expectation right now for Skylar Thompson to be QB1 for the Dolphins. At least in the immediate future. But Skylar, he just looked really, really good. Very poised, professional. He knew what was happening. It was obvious he had studied. He put all the effort in. And you know what? That is just nasty. In fact, I put a video on my YouTube channel last night about like what was the one thing that I wish I knew before I became a professional musician. It was like everything that you do, if whatever you think you have to put into it to prepare for it, double or triple the amount of time that you have to actually put in to be that prepared for it. And Skylar Thompson embodied that. Like, he went out, he made a massive amount of lemonade out of the lemons that he was handed, and they essentially said, you get to be the man for this entire game. We want to see what you got. We already know what Tua's got. We already know what Teddy's got. Let's see what you have and whether you deserve to be on the roster. And I think that he proves that he deserves to be on the rosters. And even Dolphins fans were like, yo, okay, this guy's legit. I'm like, I know. We've been telling you since he got drafted that he's legit. So it's about time that you shut up and paid attention. But so now my credibility is starting to look even better. Post this game after I keyboard warriored it in favor of Skylar in a lot of different places and chat rooms and whatever. So I think it's a great day for Skylar Thompson, and it's a great representation of Kansas State. So nobody's going to be out there saying, look at that Kansas State quarterback. You don't hear that. I mean, when's the last time you heard, look at that Kansas State quarterback in the NFL? Josh Freeman, like almost 20 years ago?
Right.
Like, no. So I'm very excited for Skylar, and I think he seized the day, took the opportunity, and made an incredible preseason game out of what honestly could have been a disaster because of all the pressure that's been put on him. And I think that speaks to his poise and his maturity as a person and as a football player.
Right. And honestly, because you were talking about how, like, his poise and also what you read in that article that he's 25. I mean, it's typically kind of like these older quarterbacks coming out of college. They seem to typically perform at least a little bit better than those guys who are like literally just turned 20, just turned 21, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of like Joe Burrow, because people forget that he's older than Lamar Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, when he came into the NFL, he didn't have, like, a lot of, I guess, mistakes before he got injured, of course, than a lot of the first-year quarterbacks that he was. And then he had his first full season in the NFL, and we already know how that turned out.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that Skylar Thompson is Joe Burrow. Please, anyone who's, briefly freaking out, calm down. I'm not saying that at all, but there's still that evolution of like quarterbacks who been in school for a little bit, for about like 5 years, or in this case Skylar Thompson's like 6 years. So kind of coming out of college and into the NFL, being like he's seen a lot of stuff. Granted, we all know the NFL is a whole different pace, but just the way he thinks about things, the way he studies things, is going to be a lot different than quarterbacks who have a lot of high expectations, like we talked about with Zach Wilson and
Trevor Lawrence.
Who are coming in with like foregoing their senior season.
Right.
I think ultimately this was considered a building block off of Thursday, and all the promising moments Thompson put together in the 3 months plus since Miami got him, and it will be a data point in Thompson's favor when the Dolphins eventually have to decide whether they want to keep the 3 quarterbacks on the roster at the start of a regular season. With Teddy Bridgewater on a 1-year deal, Miami has incentive to keep Thompson around in case Bridgewater, who has started 63 games in his career, leaves next year as well. So still a lot of puzzles to figure out with this situation. But you got to be if you're a fan of Skylar Thompson, I mean, you got to be feeling really good about where he may end up potentially.
Honestly, I feel like they'll probably like keep him on the roster. Granted, I feel like the Dolphins fan base and their front office hasn't been fully impressed by Tua yet. And of course, this is what his third season, so they have to at some point they're gonna have to bring up his 5th-year option.
I don't think the maybe, NFL has been overly impressed by Tua.
Because he's been hurt a couple of times as well, so not a whole lot of opportunity, I guess. And also their whole Dolphins franchise is a mess. Well, so maybe there's reasons to why no one has really been impressed yet. But he only has so many finite years left before they talk about his 5th-year option being, taken or denied, and then having Skylar Thompson develop behind him just a little bit for him to be able to either take to a spot or you just use him as trade value down the road.
And here's the problem with the Miami fans. They have been fully embracing Tua Tagovailoa from the start. Like, they've wanted him from the draft, even though he was injured. Miami, the officials and their fans, they wanted Tua from the very get-go. And they fully embraced him to the point it's like, okay, we're just going to completely put down Teddy Bridgewater and Skylar Thompson out. We're going to roll with Tua without a doubt. Nothing's going to change. Well, we've seen Tua already throughout the past few weeks when it comes to practicing with Dolphins. And I think, was it today? I mean, he's already he might have thrown 3 interceptions already. And, I mean, that's we've seen stuff like that throughout the past few weeks where there were just not too many strong connections between Tua and some of his receivers as well.
Yeah. Well, and if there's anything that I think goes, if there's anything that I think goes in favor of Skylar Thompson is that if for whatever reason, because Miami is not necessarily well known for their good decision making,
right?
But if they decide, like we read about from Mr. Habib, if they decide to cut him from the roster, his performance is, I'm sure, raised the eyebrows of a lot of people around the NFL.
100%.
And I think Skylar Thompson is sitting in a really nice place going into the potential that the Dolphins cut him because of roster needs and other positions that need some help, even though quarterback arguably needs some help. But if they decide for whatever reason to be dumb and cut him, I think that there are a collection of teams that would step up, maybe even the Chiefs, step up and say, hey, you're looking pretty good. That was a pretty good preseason game. I get it. It's the C team against the C team. But let's see what you got. And I think that his marketability as a free agent has gone through the roof now thanks to that game. And then you know what? If he doesn't get drafted at all, dreams crushed, I know, but at least you got your only highlight tape in the NFL is you went 20 of 29 for 209 yards and a touchdown. That's a pretty decent highlight tape.
It is.
We're going to talk a little bit more about the Chiefs and then just Mike Gundy being a savage. You've been listening to Training Camp with Kolby Van Camp on Wildcat 91.9. Welcome back to Training Camp with yours truly here for Wildcat 91.9. I'm joined by Jazsmin Halliburton and John Grove. So Kansas City. So first of all, Chiefs lose the pregame, or the Chiefs lose the preseason game, the first one. Doesn't really matter. I think Kansas City has had a good reputation for winning their preseason games, so everybody's kind of like freaking out, but I don't think there's any need to freak out. I think the Chiefs are going to be just fine. The one drive that Mahomes went in, he threw some darts, just marched down the field, touchdown. And I think the starters played really well. I'm not worried about it. But interesting developments. This is, according to ESPN, Adam Teicher, I don't know how you say his last name. It looks German. If it's German, then it'd be Teicher, but okay. Justin Reed will undoubtedly want to keep his day job as a starting safety for the Kansas City Chiefs, but he showed in Saturday's preseason game against the Chicago Bears that he might be able to help his team in an emergency in a different role. Reed kicked a PAT late in the first half and put the kick right down the middle. Reed practiced shorter kicks during pregame warmups and said on the Chiefs television broadcast that his coaches told him if he looked good doing it, they might use him in the game. Pregame went pretty well, and I got the opportunity, and it went down the middle, he said. That was awesome. So Reed turned some heads during a 2021 preseason game while playing for the Houston Texans. He kicked off during a 2021 preseason game. Yeah, sorry, I couldn't read that if my life depended on it. He made a 65-yard field goal attempt during a training camp practice for the Chiefs last week. So that was kind of crazy. I saw the video and I was thinking, oh my gosh, Harrison Butker, you got some competition, my guy. Harrison's still a tank, but he also missed a field goal try badly at camp, leading special teams coordinator Dave Tubb to make a joke that the Chiefs were still looking for their backup to regular kicker Harrison Butker. But after making the kick against the Bears, Reed said that backup kicking position is locked up. And the Chiefs lost to the Bears 19-14. I'm really not concerned about it. I'm as a Chiefs fan, I'm really not. People who are concerned about it, I think you just need to relax. Mahomes looked really nice in his preseason game. I mean, and even ESPN agrees. This is according to AP, the Associated Press. Patrick Mahomes sure looked like he was ready to go. The one-time MVP, Super Bowl champion, and four-time Pro Bowler made it look easy at his short time on the field. Mahomes threw for 60 yards and a touchdown on Kansas City's first possession, and then watched the Chiefs lose to the Chicago Bears 19-14 in the preseason. We did what we were supposed to do. Mahomes said we went out there, we were able to spread the football around, get a lot of guys different looks, and found a way to get into the end zone. The game was the first for Chicago's Matt Eberflus as a head coach. It also marked the return to Soldier Field for predecessor Matt Nagy, now the Chiefs quarterbacks coach. He was fired in January after leading the Bears to a 34-31 record in 4 seasons, and reunited with Andy Reid after previously working for him at the Philadelphia Eagles and Kansas City. So we're going to be fine. Chiefs are going to be fine. And anybody who doesn't believe that, you need to check yourself before you wreck yourself, because we're going to be fine. John, how are the Broncos looking? I didn't take a look at them.
Well, for my friend Jazsmin across the table.
Say it, John. Say it.
Pretty good outing by the Broncos. They beat the Dallas Cowboys, and I think their preseason game, what was it, Friday, Saturday?
Saturday.
Might have been Saturday, yeah. I'm gonna be on.
What was the score?
Was it like 17 to 7? Yeah. So.
There you go. And,
in a preseason game, yes.
Yeah, there you go. I'm sorry, Jazsmin.
I told you there is nothing y'all can do or say that I have never heard before. No one knows how to break my heart except the Dallas Cowboys. Y'all can do whatever y'all want. No man will ever break my heart more than the Dallas Cowboys have already done.
Okay. Especially during the postseason. I mean, I feel bad for the humble Dallas fans, kind of like you, but it's all right. It's all right.
Well, okay. So now that you, Jazsmin,
she's got her beef alpha plate.
I was gonna say, John's looking for all the smoke here. So
he can have all the smoke.
You give it to him. That's why I'm behind the board. I don't care what you guys do on the other side of the board. If you want to beat the crap out of each other, go for it. But I've got the camera set up. I'm on the other side of the board, and YouTube won't like that. I don't want to get demonetized before I get the opportunity to be monetized to begin with. So, okay, I'm taking a hop, skip, and a jump back over to college football for the last 12 minutes of the show, and this is according to Chris Lowe. He's an ESPN senior writer. So Mike Gundy has done an excellent job at just taking pot shots at Texas and Oklahoma anytime he gets the opportunity to do so. I think it's incredible. And so it says Stillwater, Oklahoma State, Mike Gundy, head coach Mike Gundy said Tuesday that Oklahoma and Texas took the money and ran in leaving the Big 12 for the SEC. Facts. That
wrong.
Is so true. Like, nothing he said there was false. Then he said, well, let's just cut to the chase. They made a choice to financially secure their athletic departments for the next 12 to 15 years, Gundy told ESPN. People can talk about all the reasons, but that's why they did it, all for the money, and took a lot of history out of this league and a lot of history out of college football with them. Now, they're not the first ones to do it. Texas A&M did the same thing when they jumped ship to go to the SEC in 2012. Gundy entered his 18th season as Oklahoma State's coach, guiding the Cowboys to a 12-win season a year ago and a Fiesta Bowl victory over Notre Dame. Oklahoma State ended the regular season with a 37-33 victory over Oklahoma, which in Gundy's mind will almost certainly be one of the last Bedlam games. They sort of made the decision when they left for the SEC, Gundy said. It's just not going to be feasible. We're scheduled out to 2036, I think, and I'm sure the SEC is going to 9 conference games. They'll have to, or the media will kill them. The fans would love to keep playing Bedlam, but the people behind the doors will make the decisions, and they're going to say no. That's what you lose, some great rivalries and a lot of history. And then Gundy is confident the Big 12 isn't going anywhere, and it's unfazed about all the talk of the league's teams losing their brand names. That's never going to change, he said. They're always going to talk about brands, and there are always going to be teams that get ranked in the preseason polls just because people think they're surely going to be a top 25 team. Direct middle finger to Texas, Gundy said. But those polls don't mean anything. Nothing counts until the end of the season, and our brand is growing on the field and off the field. We don't have the kind of logo that Texas does or Notre Dame does, but we're making strides where it counts.
Name dropping.
He's name dropping. No, I'm all about it. Name drop him. Go for it. I mean, again, the fact that Texas was even in any of the polls was just like, what
No,
have you
they weren't in the AP poll.
Okay, well, that's why I said any of the polls. Because they were definitely in the coaches poll.
They were in the coaches poll.
They were in the coaches poll, which if there's anybody that should make better informed decisions about which team belongs in a poll, it would be the coaches,
What
right?
if it was like joking?
You would
I know
think.
they had one because of course they had one first place vote,
one
and I
first
heard that what if that was Nick Saban giving that one first place vote because they played them in like week 2 or something.
Oh, no, that would be really funny. Feels like Texas, just as a troll. That would be that. I'm taking that. I don't even care if it turns into like a conspiracy theory that Nick
Do it.
Saban votes for Texas just to give him the middle finger. But I'm about that. I'm about that. If I had any kind of clout in the media and could vote for that, I would give Texas first place votes simply because I know that they're going to get just pwned throughout most of the season. Like that's literally the only way that I would do that.
Maybe
So-
that's it because horns down is a national thing.
Oh,
It's
is it?
universal practically.
Oh yeah. I think you could go over to Mars and the red planet itself, and it looks even arguably more orange than it does red, and they give horns down on Mars. Venus, you get horns down. Neptune, you definitely get horns down. Jupiter's like, hey man, just leave me out of this. I want nothing to do with it.
Jupiter's
but-
lame.
Well, if you guys want more insight on Texas this past week, there may be a reason why Texas apparently isn't ranked in the AP top 25, and I mean this came out on Twitter a couple days ago. OrangeBloods.com reported that Texas did lose 2 of their key players this season with fifth-year offensive lineman Junior Ngalu, I believe that's his last name, and then you also got wide receiver Isaiah Nair, who was a transfer from Wyoming. Both of them are done for the season, and that's going to be a critical loss for Texas offensively.
They got plenty of 5 stars. I'm sure they'll be okay.
We'll see. We'll see. I mean, you can look at all the talent you want, but I mean, if you
Still don't do nothing with it.
yeah, exactly. I mean, you're going to have some young team. Well, I mean, look at the K-State LSU game for an example.
Right.
LSU, of course, a lot of their star talent was gone, but then they bring in like the fresher, newer faces into the game. I mean, but everybody thought they were talented, more talented than K-State, but the one thing they were lacking was experience.
That's true.
So I'm gonna take a move here to go towards coaches, and there's a bunch of there's an ESPN like poll that came out,
There we go.
and we're talking about all of these coaches and their national acclaim. And so there's different sections. It says these coaches consistently do more with less and elevate programs not typically known for success in football. Mike Leach makes sense. Pat Fitzgerald at Northwestern makes sense. Matt Campbell at Iowa State.
No.
No, it does not. No, it does not make sense. It does not make sense. I don't care if he's gone 77-49 during 11 seasons. It doesn't make sense. Matt Campbell does not belong at 3rd on this list. And then hilariously, directly underneath his FBS resume, it says conference titles 0, national titles 0.
10
They should,
win-
and
10
then,
win
yeah, and then they
seasons.
should put 10 win seasons 0. So no, it's not happening. Mark Stoops at Kentucky. Okay. Dave Clawson, Wake Forest. Okay.
I don't even know about those two, honestly.
I can
It
get
just-
behind those two.
It just pretty much drops off from you Nick Saban and Dabo Swinney up there, right? And then those two
Teams that do less with more.
teams that do less with more.
or do more with less. That's what those teams
this
were.
is
Teams that do
okay.
more with less. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like teams that recruit 1, 2, 3 star guys, land those guys, and then do more with them.
I do understand where they're coming from with Matt Campbell a little bit. Mainly it's because of Iowa State's incapabilities of recruiting throughout the past few years. I mean, it's pretty similar to K-State, but yeah, I mean, we just always fall on the wrong side of the stick when it comes to the media love, and everybody's just praising Matt Campbell for not only getting Iowa State to a 9-win season, Fiesta Bowl championship against a crappy Oregon team, and then get all this preseason media love, getting as high as 6 or 7.
Yeah.
All of that just to barely beat Northern Iowa in the first week, lose to Iowa in the second week, lose to Baylor in the third week. It just, that last year for me was one of a few points I was like, oh my gosh. I went full hard on Iowa State during my podcast last year. But I mean, you got to give credit is due. Iowa State would have not been in the best position today if it was without Matt Campbell.
Yeah, Matt Campbell, but Matt Campbell might be one of the most overhyped coaches in college football.
I agree with you. He is definitely overhyped, but he. I mean, I'm just gonna say, like, he's gotten Iowa State to a lot better position than they were a few years ago. But you're right; they are most definitely overhyped.
Yeah. Well, and so an interesting name on this list, Jeff Monken at Army. So that was kind of interesting. He's 58 and 43 at Army. But then, so at the end of this 10-team list, Lance Leopold. For Kansas.
Surprise.
And I don't even understand why that he's even on this list for doing more with less, because in his only season with KU so far he went 2-10. 2-10.
2-10.
He went 37 and 33 at Buffalo. Everyone is like, "Oh, he had such a great time at Buffalo." Yeah, he did have a good time at Buffalo in his last season, but then like the rest of the time 37 and 33. Wow, impressive. 6 seasons at Buffalo and he barely broke 500. 2-10 KU. Yeah, slow clap from John. 2-10 at KU for one season, and then that makes him 39 and 43 overall for the last 7 seasons. It says conference title 0, national title 0. Leopold appeared on my radar while at Wisconsin Whitewater, where he has become Division III's version of Saban, winning 6 national titles in 8 years. Okay, that's where I can tip the hat to him. He showcased his program building skills at Buffalo, an outlier in the MAC. With only 2 bowl appearances before his arrival, after a 7-17 start, Leopold led Buffalo to bowl eligibility in each of his final 4 seasons. The Bulls won the MAC East Division in 2018, recorded a team record of 10 wins, and did so in 2020, while recording their first AP Top 25 finish. However, 2020 is COVID, and you need to be paying attention to who they played in 2020 and what was going. That, frankly, I crown whatever team you want to be the national champion, but that's like one of those years where you could honestly vacate all of those games, and it would mean nothing, because so many of those teams were not an accurate reflection of what they actually were. He then took over the worst Power 5 program in Kansas, put up the Jayhawks and an 18-game Big 12 losing streak, and 56-game Big 12 road slide against Texas. So I can tip my hat to that because it's against Texas, but he does not belong on the list for doing more with less. He hasn't done anything with less. He's lost with less. Okay, so that's my first thing. Now, is KU going to get better under Lance Leopold? Yes, I do believe so. However, Chris Kleiman did make the next collection of 10 coaches. It says these coaches have been leading FBS programs for 4 years or fewer, but have displayed great promise early in their tenures. Dave Aranda obviously tops that list, and he deserves to. Billy Napier at Florida, Jamie Chadwell at Coastal Carolina, Mel Tucker at Michigan State, Josh Heupel and
Tennessee.
I don't know if he belongs there. Sam Pittman at Arkansas, maybe. Jeff Traylor at UTSA, sure. Sean Clark at App State, maybe. Sean Lewis, Kent State, maybe. Chris Kleiman, Kansas State. He's gone 20-16 with the Cats. No conference titles. Hopefully we'll break that this year. No national titles, at least at FBS. Kleiman is a relative newcomer to the FBS, but arrived at Kansas State with excellent credentials from the FCS North Dakota State team, where he won 4 national titles in 5 seasons as a head coach. He made an immediate splash by beating Big 12 boss Oklahoma in his first 2 seasons, the latter of which marked Kansas State's first ever road win against a top 5 opponent. Kleiman has recorded 2 8-win seasons sandwiched around an injury-marred 2022 campaign. Kansas State is a popular sleeper pick in the Big 12 this coming season. Again, I think it's disrespectful to say a sleeper pick at this point. There's so much talent on our team, but whatever. So, and then also tip of the hat to North Dakota State, because you guys were ranked in the top 25 for FCS. In fact, you were number 1. So after you smacked around, who was it? Montana State, I think it was.
Montana.
Or is Montana for the national championship last year? I mean, just pile drived them. I think it was Montana State.
Oh yeah, they played Montana State.
The Grizzlies.
Bobcats.
Bobcats?
Yeah,
whatever.
Bobcats.
I wasn't paying a whole lot of attention. I just saw that they beat them. So yeah, at the end of the show, I looked at the clock and it was like, oh, I've got 9 minutes. And I looked back and I've got 30 seconds. So that is how it is in radio. Jazsmin, John, thank you for being here.
Of course.
Go check us out, wildcat919.com. You've been listening to Training Camp with Kolby Van Camp. We'll see you tomorrow. What's going on, YouTube? This is Kolby Van Camp here, the host of Training Camp on Kansas State University student radio station Wildcat 91.9 FM. If you like the content that I've been putting out, be sure to hit the like button, smash subscribe, and ring the heck out of that bell so that you never miss another one of my shows again.